All right, what's up, people? Been a while since I've done one of these. So I was sitting on a couch and I was thinking, why the fuck not? So here we are. In this stream, I want to go a little bit on my high time frame views, what I'm expecting next, specifically over the next couple of weeks. I think I've already laid out my plans pretty extensively in a post I did the other day. So if you haven't seen that, then definitely check it out. It's somewhere at the top of my X account where I basically explained my plan for the next year and a half, right? So more or less the next year and a half, what I'm looking for, when I'm looking for to exit, when I think the top is going to happen. So that I think is all clear. We can briefly go over it, very briefly, because I want to do some other analysis I haven't done in a while. So, let's hope it's a good one, because I definitely need to update that. So the post I'm referring to is, where is it? Oh, here it is. So here I laid out my whole thesis of what I expect to happen. Very briefly put, what I expect to happen is that we're now on a new impulse stage that will pretty much last until July or August. So I'm looking for the next high time frame high, at that point into cycle high, but I've also noted that I'm looking for a high to be put in somewhere in the last quarter of this year. Why? Read this post, then you'll understand why. But for now, we're in this impulse stage, so I expect in general higher prices. One thing I laid out is that my favorite scenario, as I said here, the rest scenario would be my favorite. So I said I said at some point you're going to have a retrace. The question is when exactly. I said these are the two main scenarios. Either you just keep grinding up and then eventually have this massive smackdown, or you have this red scenario where you have this very drastic retrace now towards, don't pay attention to the price, followed by a move back up. What I said would happen here is that I already know what's going to happen. The entirety of crypto Twitter will be comparing that PA to the 2021 top, right? You're going to have a lot of people comparing this to the top, saying, oh shit, it's happening again, double top. This would be one of my most confident bets of this cycle that we won't top like that. I'm pretty, of course, you can not be 100% certain. It obviously could happen, don't take my word for it, but I would say the chances are very slim. It's classic recency bias. I don't want to go into it too much. I've posted about it a lot, so read this post if you want to know more about this. So all in all, I'm expecting higher prices, and then in the end, what I'm looking for is end of October pretty much is where I think things are very dangerous. It's what I call the danger zone. I want to get out of it, and that's pretty much the high time frame plan. If you want to know more about that, then check that post out. So right now, I just posted what's been playing out now is that red scenario that we were just looking at. And let me post that one here. So here I just said, okay, red line is starting to play out. How many comparisons to the 2021 top do you already see? I've already seen quite a few, and I have seen quite a few. And it's funny, people have been tagging me in them, which is pretty cool. The deeper the retrace, the more 2021 top comparisons you will see. So the question is, okay, how deep are we going to go? And that's where I want to focus on in this stream. Is not so much, so my plan is for the next couple of months until August or something that we're just going to go up, right? That's the main plan. But the question is, okay, what's going to happen now in the medium term? So the next couple of weeks, that's what I want to focus on. I really want to focus on, okay, what we're going to do until the middle of June. That's what we're going to focus on in this live stream. All right. So first of all, I think it's good to start with will I start with data or will I start with structure? Both are very important. We're definitely going to tackle both. Let's start with some data. As you know, probably not with data. I'm sorry. We're going to start with some structure because we're on the charts anyway. As you know, my whole thesis, this whole downtrend is what I've been saying. You've probably seen this from my post that we should bottom in here. I posted this for the first time, I think somewhere here. Bottom in here, price should not get here, right? So this is the whole thesis. I'm not doing this to chase clouds, but as I always say, you have to understand where you're going. You need to understand where you came from. So we came here, we put in that amazing bottom in there, which looks incredible if you're looking at a high time frame continuation play, in my humble opinion. And what I was looking at was pretty much continuation of this weekly structure that we have right here, where we have the weekly high at 108K now. We're rejecting from it now, so we'll get into that, what that means swiftly. I actually think I just think this makes for a great setup for higher. And we had the weekly low here, and we pretty much just this entire bull market, we just had this very nice impulse up. And here the third one. And I do think that the next one that's coming is going to be the last one, right? I believe Bitcoin has one more impulse. My personal thesis, I'm not buying into the super cycle theory. You do you. I'm not buying it. I just don't think it will happen. But I've already posted enough about that as well. So we have this, upward movement. We're now rejecting from it. And which brings me once again back to this. Then I do believe this is now happening, right? We're now going into this red line right here. Why is that thing not loading? Man, Twitter has been bugging the fuck out lately. All right. Anyway, this red line is what's happening now, in my opinion. I'm sure you can see it. But we're retracing and we're going lower. And I'm sure so many people are going to be freaking out and comparing it to the 2021 top. As I already said, I've already seen it. And it's probably going to increase. The deeper we will go, the more you will see it. So a good thing to take note of that, this impulse stage that we're in. Let me see if I actually... did I mark those out? I did mark those out. Thank you. So we're now in this impulse stage. In my opinion, I just do not believe we're gonna reject and then go into a bear market here. But I do believe it's very, 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 very good and very healthy if we have a retrace. What's up, Dex? Good to see you, man. I think Twitter always had a chat for live stream, but they've been messing up. What's up, Hugo's? Sailor will be fucked if we do a 50% bear market down from 130K. No, I don't think so. I don't think he will be fucked. I think it would have to go much lower for a Sailor to be fucked. I think he could pretty well withstand 75K Bitcoin. It's not a problem. Anyway, so now we're in this retrace. And the question is, how low are we going to go? So first... I lost my train of thought there. The first thing I need to answer is, okay, we have this impulse stage that's going to last until July, August. And what I already said in that post, that doesn't mean we have to, do this until August, right? Actually, that would be very, 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 very unusual. What you expect more is some kind of retrace somewhere, but the general direction will be up. What does that mean? That means that, this would have to be the low. And somewhere at the end of this page, you're going to put in a high. And however price gets there, could do a looping if it wants and get there by the end of it. That's what we're looking for. So personally, I would be very much in favor of doing this, because then you get this comparison of people saying like, hey, that's the 2021 top. We're going to do it again. And it's just, man, it's such a classic trap. Like I've had so many times that people compare, it's recency bias, right? It's a recency bias and people always do this. I remember, for example, when we had... right here, I mean, there's really a lot of examples to give. Let me just go on a rant there. It was here. I remember that. Right here, everyone was comparing this to this, right? Everyone was saying, and I made a post about this in real time. I could look for it, but I'm not going to look for it. I don't want to go through the hassle. That's a terrible arrow. So everyone was looking at this and saying, oh shit, it's happening again. We have another deviation and we're going to go up after this. Now, I came in at the time, wrote a post, said it's not going to happen. Classic recency bias. People are always looking at that. People are always doing the same thing. It doesn't happen like that. And then a lot of people came into my comments saying like, no, like it can still happen like that. Oh shit, my MacBook is almost out of power because my charger is not in. There we go. people came in saying like, no, it is going to happen. Everyone mega longed here, and you see, and this is what I meant. I said that in the post that the first 50 to 75% of the fractal will actually play out, and then price will do something different, right? Then price will do something different and nuke it on everyone's head, or at least do something that no one's expecting. It's always the same with fractals. The first 75% or something of the price will play out, and then it will not play out, but people have short minds and people just forget. So what you would expect here to happen is a little bit deeper retrace than we have now. And I also have data for that, so we're going to look into that. Where is this thing? Where is the bar chart again? And I actually hate that, or at least I'm not the biggest fan of it. Okay, I cannot find it. I'm looking for the fractal thing. I barely use it because I'm not a fan of it. All right, I cannot find it. Well, whatever. We don't really need it. But I'm sure it was, whoops. There we go. The bars pattern, just looking over it. So I'm not doing this, like, I'm not a fan of fractals. I'm not a fan of fractals. They rarely, the market doesn't repeat itself twice in exactly the same succession. It's just like, I mean, if you just realize what markets are, which is like the collective belief system of all individuals interacting with it, like it's such a complex system. It is almost impossible. There's so many variables. It's almost impossible for the market to repeat itself exactly twice in the same way. But I'm taking too little of that. So I'm not a fan of fractals at all. The only reason why I'm showing this is to counter trade it, right? Not to actually trade the fractal. I don't believe in the fractal. I don't believe this will happen, right? Big disclaimer, I do not believe this will happen. I actually believe the opposite will happen, right? I believe we will go higher, but it's good for practice. So what everyone, like the deeper this retrace will go, the more people will be looking at this. The more people will be looking at this, and then at some point, if price would go here and everyone is looking at it and will be saying, oh, look how good this fractal is playing out. Shit, 2021 top, a lot of fear will enter the market, and price can go down quite a bit. And then, obviously the argument against is like, yeah, but then people who are sidelined can enter the market. The only difference is that, well, not the difference, but the thing is people won't enter, right? People who are sidelined now will also not enter even when price drop, because people will get fearful. They might be saying, now, man, if Bitcoin goes to 90K, I will buy in, finally. But then Bitcoin goes to 90K and they're like, well, you know what, things are looking pretty bad. I'm going to wait for like 80K and so on and so on. And this is the reason why they're sidelined. So probably what's going to happen is that if we keep retracing, something like this will happen. Everyone's catching on. The more you will see this fractal posted on X, the closer we are to breaking it. And then at some point, this will happen. And everyone is fucked that believed in the fractal and will continue to go up. Now, the question is, which is pretty much the whole build-up where I want to go with this analysis, an analysis I want to do here for you guys. And, well, also for me, and I figured, why not do it live? Then the question is, okay, when is that going to happen? And, well, first of all, it would have to happen somewhere within before August, right? Somewhere before August, both the retrace as well as the impulse should be completed. So we can do this. Do it right here. And okay, first of all, this is where we're going to look into some structure. So what we've been looking at, or what we've been doing so far, is just very clean market structure. And man, I'm going to buy a new MacBook. My MacBook cannot handle streaming anymore. That's why this thing is laggy. Sorry for that. So what we've been looking at so far is this very clean structure where you basically, kind of a high or low. I'm not the biggest fan of it, to be honest. You could you could count that as one big impulse. And this one, I would have to see if that fits my criteria. Let me do that right away. So then we have this as the low. And we have, yeah, okay, so that's a proper retrace. So this is 4 impulses on the 4-hourly time frame, which means that we're very much ready for a bigger retrace where this trend should end. That doesn't mean that the high time frame trend should end. That means that we are due for a retrace. And I would say that would be confirmed when we hit the, oh shit, man, fuck this light. When we hit the 61866, that's when I would have it confirmed, and I'm pretty sure it will get confirmed. Why? Because, well, let's just go to the data, get the dashboard out, dashboard right here. All right. Because this will get confirmed. And by the way, to further explain that, I once got a statistics on how many impulses are in a trend. So this whole thing is a trend, right? Higher highs, higher lows. You have multiple impulses, you have multiple retraces. That whole thing together is a trend. Usually they are 3 or 4 impulses. So we now had 4. I've very, 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 very rarely seen 5 impulses. So that means that, you know, if you look at multi-time frame analysis, when you have the 4 impulse, if you're high time frame bullish, which I am, then you're expecting this trend to end, which means that the higher time frame trend is going to start retracing, which very simply means that the retrace needs to be deeper. So if we go to the data, man, my MacBook cannot handle it anymore, guys. I think I just need to, I'm just going to buy a new one and forget about the data there. Because I can just show you here where I posted only 1% of weeks took out the weekly high after putting in a weekly low on Thursday, 5:30 or later. Whoops, didn't mean to click that. And 97% of weeks moved further than negative 4.2%. Conclusion, lower it is, right? So we only have like a 1% chance of taking out the weekly high, or not a 1% chance, but it would happen only in 1% of cases. And 97% of weeks move further than negative 4.2%. So that means that pretty much 97% of weeks would move further down, which means that there's actually still quite some room to go. Why buy a new laptop when you can stack stats? Good question. It works fine until I start streaming. It seems very laggy. Yeah, I might have to cut the stream soon, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening. I think my MacBook is reaching the end of its life cycle. It used to work very good until recently. Either way, so we have pretty much 97% chance of further downside, right? So, and the higher that number is, the more downside you can see potentially. So there is a lot of gas left in the tank to go further down. Now, what I'm looking for is that you can already pretty much sort ahead and say, okay, then a bigger retrace is loading. And then the question is, okay, where is that retrace going to be and when is it going to end? Well, first, let's look at the when. I would personally be biased if you want to see an impulse still before the end of this. So what you're looking for, and let me pull a FIP as well. Right here. Okay, so what you would be looking for pretty much somewhere at the 382 would be 8th of June, which would make sense, early June. So we'd be looking for a low to be put in early June, and you'd be looking for it to be put in preferably around 97K or 93K tops if you're, but if you're very bullish, then you're at 97K. But we can use timing for that as well. So what I'm kind of looking for is something. I have to grab some data for that. Something like this. And this would be far enough of a retrace to get everyone very, okay. And this is time sensitive as well as price sensitive, right? This is my expectation for where the retrace would end potentially if we want to see another impulse, because this would really nicely complete a nice retrace followed by next impulse up towards the later parts, here towards the later parts there. Could work very well. And then the question is, okay, when exactly are we going to put in that low? So what you'll be looking for is a bullish month in June, and then you're looking for a bullish or a low to be put in early in the month. Why is that? It's because we have data. I'm really sorry about the lag, guys. My MacBook doesn't want to go. I've really pushed the edge of my MacBook, and I've been running dual operating systems to develop this dashboard. And I think my MacBook has finally decided it doesn't want to run Windows, which makes sense. I could also guess I'm just too caught in the Apple ecosystem. But I know that's the top of my heart, that the data is saying that over 80% of monthly highs or lows are put in within the first 9 days of the month. I mean, this works very well if I'm not streaming. Let me just load that on the side. Lower bitrate maybe. Let's see what that is. Oh. All right. Lower bitrate, maybe you might need to get the same king open to cleaned out if it's crammed with dust and shit. MacBook open, cycle traders like Camel Fans look at 6th of June for next major cycle low. Well, there you go. That would be amazing confluence. Yeah, no, I'm just going to buy a new MacBook. This one's already from 2019, so I'm just going to buy the M4, which, I think it's about time for an upgrade. I use it plenty. But June 6th, yeah, that would be perfectly aligned then with what I'm looking for. And it makes a lot of sense. Also from a data perspective, there we go. I'm loading up the data now here on the site. There we go. Fuck yeah. This MacBook can still do it. Meanwhile, price is already going lower, as we see. So here we go. We're here. We have the data. So let's see. 27.3, 36.4, 18.2. So this is how often highs and lows get put in during the month, right? Which day of the week put them in. And we can see that, and by the way, this is then the first pivot. So you have the monthly high and the monthly low. What this is looking at, and by the way, this is not enough data. I need to crank this up. I'm looking only at the last year, which is obviously not enough. You're looking at monthly data. So what it's looking at is saying you have the monthly high and the monthly low, and P1 is just whichever comes first. So if the monthly low was put in before the monthly high, aka we have a bullish month, then a monthly low is P1. So that's what we're looking for now, right? So we're looking for when is the P1 going to be put in, because if we're going to be bullish, right? If we're going to be bullish after this the next month, if June wants to be bullish, then we need to put in the monthly low first. Makes sense, right? If you have a bullish month, monthly low comes first, monthly high comes after. Unless you have like a bullish 70% of month and then an extreme reversal, but that rarely happens, as you can also see in the data. So what we see here is that 33% of months put in the P1 in the first 3 trading days, 23. So that means 56 in the first 6. First 9 is 56, 67. And yeah, okay, there you go. 67, so 7 to 9. This is basically the time area we're looking at. And after that, you are really high up. You're almost at 90%, right? High up, not at 90%, you're at 80, 83, 82. So this is mid-70s. Let me count that one more time, right? 55, yeah, 65, sorry. 65%, and then here, 78%. So 78% of the time we put in the P1 in the first 12 days, 12 trading days of the month, which aligns very nicely with what we're looking at because this is June 10th. So we know that if we're going to have a bullish month by this date, we pretty much have an 80% chance of putting in a monthly low, which means that if we put in the low later in the month, then it becomes much more unlikely that we're going to see a bullish month, because you can already see that, I mean, if you put in a low at 16th or the 18th, you pretty much have a negligible chance of still having a bullish month, right? Because then you just don't reverse anymore and take out the high. That's what this is saying. So you really want to be looking for a monthly low in June to be put in within the first 12 days. Technically, you already have a majority probability to put it in within the first 6 days, right? Because then you're already at 56%, which is already more. And after 9 days, you're already at 67, 68%. So very nice confluence that this is what we're looking for a low, followed by a move back up. If price gets there and keeps on continuing lower, and you start up and putting lower lows in this zone, now this is not something you want to see, because if this is something we see, then we know that further upside for the remainder of June becomes highly unlikely, and I wouldn't bank on it anymore. But we don't really have to guess. We can also just we don't have to guess, we're not guessing, we're literally using data. But next month, as the month opens, we will get live statistics from by the data in this summary right here, and the other summaries that I'm not going to go open because my MacBook's way too slow at the moment. But it will just update us what the probabilities are that the monthly high is going to hold and that the monthly low is going to hold. So we'll just wait to see how that manifests. But now we have the last week of this month going on, and we know that it's going to be lower. We just looked at statistics, right? It's going to be lower. Therefore, we're going to wait for lower this week. Next week, we have the monthly open, right? We have the new month. And then we know exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for this beautiful retrace to happen. And then we're timing it in first or start of the second week of June, right? First 10, 12 days, preferably around that 0.5, 0.382, because that would make for the perfect spot of a, of a retracement low. I personally wouldn't want to see it go this low at 88K. That would not be bullish. In my opinion, I would revise my plan if we get there. But for now, I'm very happy to see this retrace. And then what would happen is, if you have read my tutorial on structure, or at least how I do it, is that this would therefore then become a beautiful next leg up on the weekly. And then you have this, and then you have this up towards August, which is what I'm looking at. You could have one more impulse. So the other scenario I have is that you just keep on ripping. But this is then pretty much what I'm looking for. And this fits very well in it, because higher time frame, you always have, just like we're doing here with that substructure that we looked at right here, this higher time frame weekly uptrend, that doesn't manifest as up only in here, right? You have lower time frames trends, really. You have a lower time frame trend. That means you have lower time frame impulses and retraces that lead up to it, which is pretty much what we would be seeing here. If this retrace manifests, then you're looking at a retrace down here, which will be the lower time frame retracement, not the retracement of the weekly, but it would be the lower time frame retracement if you zoom in that weekly impulse, followed by a move back up. So everything is still looking very perfect, in my opinion, for a move up. The invalidation is clear as well. We have an invalidation in terms of time, and we have an invalidation in terms of distance. What I said, my distance is 88.8K. I'm not saying that the bull market is over then, but I would expect, I will review to see when and where it happens, once it happens, if it happens. But in general, I would say you don't want to see it go that low, because generally, if you have a healthy impulse, price doesn't go that low, unless it's a very quick wick, right? A very extreme wick. But generally, I prefer to see it somewhere above 88K, above 90. So the really bullish scenario would be somewhere between 97, 93, which would still be very healthy. And if you put in a low somewhere after say after in mid-June, that's also an invalidation, because then we know that at least June is most likely going to be bearish, as in that the high will probably hold. So then you're looking for more downside, and we would have to wait for July to see further upside. But for now, the bias is June is going to be the bullish month. This is where we're looking for a retrace. This is my plan. For now, I'm waiting, not doing anything. There's no need. And also, if we get to this level, it would be the perfect spot. I'm sure your whole timeline will be filled with bear calls, with comparisons to the 2021 top, which in my opinion will not happen. Doesn't mean no. I want to be really careful because I don't want to give any certainties, but I'm pretty confident we won't see the market top like that. So this is the hypothesis. I gave you the reasons. I gave you the data. I gave you the technical analysis. You know now what I know. This is for me what I'm looking at for the next couple of weeks, which I said at the start is my goal of this stream, to just look at the next couple of weeks, saying like, hey, what is most likely to happen for the next 2-3 weeks? Here you have it. Here's my plan. If you want to know what I think is going to happen later on the high time frames, it's all on my Twitter. It's all on my X account. So go check that out, please, if you want to know more. With that said, I think I want to leave it there, because my stream or my MacBook is suffering. So best to not torture you guys more with the lag and torture myself with the lag either. So I hope you learned a thing or two. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, as always, just let them know on Twitter, Discord, wherever. Always available. So let's see what's going to happen. Please tag me in post where you see people revert to the 2021 top, because I'm sure you're going to see many. All right, guys. Hope everyone has a good day, good evening, and catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.